Okay, we're live now. So, welcome. It's a pleasure to have a Starboy at our podcast.
Hello.
So,
Hi.
yeah. So, how did you come upon that name?
Well, I thought about it for quite a while, to be honest, but uh, I think nobody in the wrestling world or in the wrestling business has such a nickname. You have all nicknames that you can imagine in the wrestling world, but I still don't know anyone with such a nickname. So I try to be a little bit original, and I think it kind of fits the gimmick I try to portray. So yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because you have to stand out in the wrestling world, not be like
Right.
anybody else.
Correct.
So, but we're not here just to talk about your nickname. We're here to learn who is the person behind Starboy Nano
Right.
Lopez. So take us back to where it all began.
Contrary to
Yeah,
what people might think, I've I've been loving wrestling since I remember, since I was a little kid. I'm almost 34, but I started to like and to watch wrestling. My first memories of watching wrestling are from 11 years old, 10 years old when I watched WrestleMania 17 and 18 and all of that. And since then, since the very first time I saw that, I realized that this is something I want to do. This is like this is really like a whole new universe. So I really need to do that. And yeah, my love for wrestling comes for like I don't know, like 20 years now, something like that. So it's more than 20 years. So yeah, it's been a long way.
yeah. It's like when you really discover wrestling, it's like the girlfriend you never knew you were looking for.
Absolutely. And either you love it or you really don't like it. I don't think it's a middle term when you first watch wrestling. Either you fall in love with it or you say, this is not for me. And I am in the first part of the group.
I can really also say to you that I'm the same.
Right.
Because actually I followed it for 35 years now, I think.
Right. So yeah,
So love at first sight. You're
absolutely.
never going and look another way when you just discovered wrestling. But
Absolutely.
Starboy, can you take us back to where it all began with the training and who you are and how you discovered
So
wrestling?
absolutely. At that time, I'm talking about 2006, 2007, when I first started. Uh, there was no wrestling scene in Spain at all. The wrestling just started to become popular again in Spain. Uh, and there was no schools, there were no academies, there were no shows. Only WWE will run a show once in a while. But we were in some forums back in the time in the internet, and there was a guy who went to try to train to Ireland, and he gathered some experience. And then when he came back, he just decided to give it a try. And my first ever training in a wrestling ring was in 2007, but it was the only one. So it was like it was like a boot camp of 3 days, and that was it. Then I lost contact again. I mean, I couldn't manage to travel anywhere in Spain. I was living far away from every major city, so I couldn't do anything. So then until 2015, when I moved, when I'm already living in another country, in Poland, it's when I just started to think about, with this wrestling thing, I still need, I still have something to prove. So I started to look for some wrestling academies and some wrestling schools. And fortunately, there were a couple of them. So I went to one of them that was 2016. Yeah, 2016. And that's when it all started for real. When I started to train, when I started to, to be on the shows, not as a wrestler, but as a, like as an extra for segments, for promos, helping with the ring, with the security and all of that. And then when I was ready for my debut, then COVID started. And yeah, so when COVID hits, and then that's why my first ever cage match and real match. I had a lot of matches in trainings and on private shows, but the first wrestling match that I had in front of a real audience was in 2021. So yeah, it's been like a lot of things happening in a lot of time, but it all boosted up after 2020.
Okay, so you in 2020 could you say you rode the highway of wrestling and then
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
speeds up after that?
Right, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, perfect. But but how was it training in Poland and moving from taking the Spanish way of wrestling? It's probably could be inspired a little bit by lucha libre or something like that, and going into Poland, which I could imagine is a totally another style of
Well, yeah,
wrestling.
but at the same time, I just had like 3 trainings in Spain, so I didn't really get to know, any style or any, way of doing things. By the time I started to train in Poland, it was like starting from scratch again, starting from zero. So I really didn't have the time in Spain to absorb any of the styles or the ways of work. But I can tell you that that the things in Poland were done pretty well, and the people took it really really serious. So it also probably helped me to advance or to learn fast, because the trainers that I had the pleasure to work with, basically everyone I met in the wrestling world in Poland, they were really fully dedicated to it, and they really loved it, and they were really passionate about it. So that way, it was really easy for me to learn and to grab a lot of experience from a lot of people.
So you could actually say that you combined your Spanish roots with the
Yeah,
Polish style of wrestling.
of course. And being Spanish and being from another country also kind of helps you to develop a gimmick or to do or with your mannerisms or the way you portray yourself, because obviously I'm a bit different when it comes to body language, or when it comes to saying some words, or the thing, or the way we see some things. It might be different from me than from someone from Spain or from Denmark, or from Poland or from Denmark. So yeah, in that sense, I think it helped me.
So if you could take us back the first years of training and so on,
Hmm.
and you were talking a little bit about your first match. Tell us everything from training up until that match and stepping in the ring, all the feelings that you went through.
I couldn't really imagine how was it. I mean, you are never prepared for that moment, meaning that you have seen it so many times on TV and so many times in the internet, and finally, when it's your moment to go through that curtain, you think you are always, and I still think it to this day, that I'm not prepared, that I'm not ready, that I'm not good enough. But you don't really have the time to think about all of these that you just mentioned, about going through it. It all happens so fast that you are just taking your first lessons as a trainee, and when you realize you are stepping through the curtain and your music hits and you are going out there and there's people waiting for you to see you. So I had a lot of mixed feelings, to be honest. I was really stressed. I'm still stressed to this day every time I go out there. Really stressed. Like, I'm super nervous. I'm someone who gets really, really nervous. Like before an exam or before a football game when I used to play, and now before wrestling, I'm really nervous. I can't wait, but I'm really stressed. Then you go out there and everything clears up and you're fine. But my first match, I mean, I will never forget it because it was in Spain, actually. I always thought that my first match would be in Poland, but it actually happened in Spain.
So
And I
how
think
did it happen in Spain? Because sorry to interrupt you a little bit, I
so.
was
The
so
beauty,
curious. Yeah,
the
but
beauty of
how?
wrestling,
Yeah,
the
that.
beauty of wrestling is that you get to know a lot of people through your journey. And I was lucky enough to meet a lot of people, and some of them actually were in the Spanish scene. And one of them was the promoter of Lucha Libre Barcelona, Jeffrey, who I just say hi from here if he's seen this. And I was there on a couple of his shows. I was helping them. I was just doing stuff like that in the previous shows. And now when the opportunity for me came, he was welcoming me, and saying, "Hey, I have a spot on the show. If you want to come by, you are more than welcome." So it was like my first show ever. And I said, yes, of course, I want to be part of it. So yeah, it was good. Actually, I faced him and another opponent on a tag team match, and it was fantastic. It was not. I couldn't ask for a better way to start. It was COVID, and there was not a lot of people in the audience because of security reasons, but still, I would never forget it.
So how did you use that? Because it was quite, I could imagine, the first match ever, a real match, not a lot of audience. How did you work the crowd in that first match?
It was really hard, actually. And actually, all my trainings in primetime wrestling in the promotion that I started and I currently work for are towards being a baby face. And here I had to be a heel. So it was like everything just, all the answers were changed to the questions I have prepared. So, but it was okay. I think, there was not a lot of audience, I repeat, and that made it a little bit hard, probably. But at the same time, I didn't feel intimidated by a large crowd. So that also probably could help. It was not different than one of the hundred of training matches I've had so far. So in that sense, I think having a less crowd probably helped me more than this third.
Okay, because it could be some kind of anticlimax that you have built this feeling up inside, and then your first match in front of a COVID crowd. But how did you use that experience going forward in your career?
So the funny thing is that was my first match. And then my second match was in front of 1,000 people. So as you can imagine, the difference is really big. Having the first match in front of 15 people and the second match in front of 1,000.
Whoa.
So then I don't know. I mean, it was really like, I wouldn't know even how to explain it. Like, the first match helped me to gain some confidence on myself and tell to myself that I can do this inside of a ring. And then the next matches, which most of them happened in primetime wrestling, helped me to build that confidence and to perform in front of larger crowds, because the big shows that primetime wrestling was doing were really, really big. And you need to be really strong with your mind. You need to have a strong mindset to just not, get to be able to stand the pressure.
Yeah, because I could imagine it's really a big pressure going from 15 to 1,000 people. So
It is absolutely.
But it could also, as you were telling, it should actually give you a lot of confidence that you could handle that kind of pressure. So your first years of wrestling here at Primetime and other places, how did you develop as a wrestler from there on?
Well, I mean, I think that one of the things that can definitely make you think about how fast everything happened to me in my career was that I don't know if it was my fourth or my fifth match ever was in front of almost 1,000 people against Matt Sydal, who came straight from AEW, and I was facing him in a singles match. So you can imagine how fast you go from having no experience at all in front of a people to face a person who has been in WWE and is currently in AEW in front of 1,000 people. So everything happens so fast that I don't have really time to think about it. I have time to think about it right now when we talk.
Yeah. So how was the match built? Because is Matt Sydal a person who wants to arrange everything before going into the ring, or
so he was a sweetheart, because at the very first time I just told him like, hey, I'm wrestling you, but obviously I'm not even 1/10 of what you are, and I'm totally green compared to you. So I would like you to take care about the most important things of the match or about this and that. And he was totally great with that. And it's like, don't worry, I will take care of everything. I will make sure everything is fine. And if something is fucked up, don't worry. And if something is fucked up, it's my fault because I'm the experienced guy. So no worries at all. Just enjoy it. And it was really hard for me to enjoy it because you have this big pressure, right? So yeah, it is hard.
but you handled it quite well.
Yes,
because you have developed from there on. So
absolutely, and also it helps you to later, for the further matches, you learn more in half an hour talking with him and putting a match together than in 3 months of training, because the amount of knowledge that you are able to get and why we do things this way and why don't we do that and why we should do that, it helps you tremendously. So yeah, absolutely. From there on, it was like a turning point in my career, definitely.
So you could actually say that Matt Sydal was your Wikipedia of wrestling.
Absolutely. It's one of them, definitely. Not the only one, but one of the best.
One of them. But if we have talked a little bit about your two first matches, but if we could talk a little bit about other key matches that you have.
So definitely one of the key matches I had was the match against Nitro, a Hungarian wrestler that I also say hi from here, because it was one of the first ever singles matches I ever had. And he also is a very experienced guy, has a lot of years in the business, and he helped me tremendously. It was the first ever main event. It was the first ever show of primetime wrestling, the first underground show, and I was in the main event with him. So we had this big responsibility, right? That we need to make this work. And thanks to him, everything went so good. So it's like a turning point match in my career as well. But also being able to later travel to other countries like Italy or come back to Spain a couple of different times to different promotions. Like I have a lot of experience about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but could you tell us a little bit about other matches beside the one with Nitro? One matches that's really made an impact on you.
Yes, sorry about that. I just needed to move it a little bit. Uh,
No problem.
so basically, I mean, actually, and it's not because we are talking right now in the Wrestler and the Nerds, but the match I had recently with Carlos, I have it really special in my heart because the crowd there was brutal. It was amazing, and Carlos is a machine. You know, it's like I see this guy in a big company in the near future because he has everything that that you need to have to succeed. So he also helped me tremendously, and it was my first time in Denmark. And right now, if anyone, not only you, but if anyone asks me, what is your best moment of wrestling in the recent, I don't know, months or even year, I would say that probably the match I had at Nordic Elite Wrestling was definitely one of them. And I had so fun because, again, I'm a babyface usually. So being able to be a heel there and to have all these reactions and all this energy from that crowd, that was really, really fantastic. It's something that I really keep deep in my heart, to be honest.
So could you tell us a little bit about the Danish experience? You might call it that, but
Yeah.
could you tell how did it came about?
So actually, it's funny because the beginning of the year, the first match I had this year yet in 2023, it was in January against Emilian Lewis, a Danish guy. We had him at Pride Night Wrestling, and I had the chance to face him. And then when the opportunity to Denmark came, he was the one who actually recommended me. And again, we come back to what I told you a few minutes ago, that the wrestling is all about connections and it's all about knowing people. So thanks to that, I was able to come to Denmark. And also in relation to what I told you before, I know Carlos Zamora since 17 or 18, when I was working as a rink crew for a Polish promotion, KPW, and he came here to Poland to perform. And we had this bond of being both Spanish and speaking Spanish. So when we meet so far away from homeland, let's say, we kind of bonded very quickly. So I knew him already. He knew me. So we had the chance and decided, okay, let's do this.
Oh, that's nice. But
Yeah.
from there on, from meeting Emilian Lewis, and did he connect you with the Nordic Elite Wrestling, or?
Well, yes, but also, Robert Starr, who is a good friend of mine, or Hunyadi, who also has performed there. I know few guys who are doing there and who are doing well. So I see a lot of the wrestling matches and the shows that Nordic Elite puts, and I loved it. One of the last shows I watched, they had like 1,000 people almost in the audience. It was fantastic. So when I had the opportunity and I talked with Carlos, and Carlos said, okay, let's do this. It's going to be great. We can use this Spanish thing. So I think it worked really well, and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, that's good, because I really think that the Danish scene is quite interesting at the moment, because
Absolutely.
the people that's coming there to watch the wrestling shows are really passionate.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because I was it was the main event and people were already after a couple of drinks, but no, because it was like that from the opening. They were fantastic. They were giving it all. They were screaming and booing and cheering and really, knowing what we are doing. It's not that, we for sure there are casual fans who were their first time there, but you can see in the crowd that a lot of people know what it's all about, and that's really good also because they go there already with a high expectation, so you need to also do your best to deliver.
Yeah, exactly. So if we could talk a little bit about comparing the Danish wrestling scene and the Polish and Spanish wrestling scene as well, could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I think probably one of the biggest differences that I see right now is not inside the ring; it's outside. When it comes to the production, or when it comes to broadcasting a show, or the whole production part, right, with the lights and the sound and the scene, the stage, the setup, and so on. I think in Poland, at least in the promotion I work for, but I've seen it in other promotions as well. Like that they are a little bit ahead when it comes to production. They invest a lot of money in that, and they invest a lot of resources in that because they believe that this is as important as what happens inside the ring. But then, other than that, I don't see many differences. Right now the talent and the wrestlers used to performing a lot of countries, so they have a lot of styles, and there is not a single country or place that you say this is the specific style of this place or this country. I don't think that, not in Europe at least, or not in these places I know that you mentioned. And I think also, Denmark has, and I'm sorry if I forget some of them, but at least 3 wrestling promotions, right?
And we actually have 4. We just
4.
have a new one called Valor, who is a cross-country promotion as well.
But given the size of the country, which is, it's a small country, so, having 4 active promotions is a lot of opportunities for the fans, but also for the wrestlers to go to a lot of places and perform on a weekly or monthly basis. So that's something really unthinkable, I think, a few years ago when, given the size of the country, right? Because if it would be a country of the size of Germany or okay, having 4 promotions is not that big. It's okay. But in Denmark, to have 4 active promotions is such a big thing, I guess, because, every promotion is close to each other. So the same happens in Spain, with there are a lot of promotions and a lot of schools, but obviously only 2 or 3 or 4 of them are really recognizable, and the others are just trying to start from zero, and it's hard. In Poland, it's a little bit the same. There are a few promotions, and all of them are trying to do their best to bring good shows and good things to the crowd. So the more, the better. When I was 15, 16, 12, I wish there were 15 wrestling promotions around that I could attend. And I think every wrestling fan thinks the same. The more, the better. So I also think that the 3 countries, Spain, Denmark, and Poland, are on the right way to become big. They are getting bigger and bigger, not smaller. The thing is, it's every day bigger, and more people want to perform in every country. So I think the sky's the limit. We will see what happens in the future. There are some big projects, I guess, from WWE in Europe and stuff like that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you could tell our listeners and viewers, and if you could pick out 2 names from Spain that we should be watching, and 2 names from Poland that we should be watching and following as well on Instagram, Twitter, or something like
Right.
that. It would be amazing. Besides you, of course.
From Spain and Poland.
Yeah, exactly.
Good you don't ask me from Denmark, because then it's like, oh, no.
Oh, you had to say Carlos then. Or else
Of course,
I think
Carlos is the number 1. Absolutely. He beat me, so, he definitely is good. No, so, there are a lot of wrestlers from Spain, to be honest. But if I would have to pick 1 or 2, number 1, it would be Caden, King Caden. He's starting to come to collaborate also with us in Poland under my recommendation. He has it all also. He has the physique, the charisma, the everything. He's a top tier performer. So if you have a chance to watch him, he had matches with people such as Francesco Akira, for example, in Madrid. So big stuff. And if I would, whoever I say, the other people will get angry that I didn't mention them. But apart from Caden, I think another person that we should keep an eye on, it's Noah Striker. Now he changed his name, and now he's Noah Santillana. He performs in Lucha Libre Barcelona usually, and although I've never met him personally, I think he has a lot of things to bring to the table, a lot of intensity, a lot of dedication and passion. So those are the 2 guys. And the girl, of course, you had the chance to see her. She's an amazing performer and the best I always say that word, but it's the best Spanish wrestler, the best female Spanish wrestler with Sara Leon. Also, I know you guys watched her, but if you have more time, she's a pleasure to watch. Yeah,
she is. But then if we go to Poland, I think it's the best way that we take some male and female wrestlers, so we don't forget that part of wrestling, because it's also really developed.
Starting with the female is way easier, because we currently, I think, there is only 1 active female Polish wrestler in the scene, but she's fantastic, and it's Diana Strong. I think she was performing in Denmark in the past.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's awesome. She's fantastic, and a person to take into consideration for the future of female wrestling in Europe. That's for sure. When it comes to the male talent, there are a lot of young guys there who are so hungry and who are ready to take the wrestling scene. I would say that one of them is Victor Longman, who is currently in Primetime Wrestling. He started very recent his career, but he already has performed in few countries. He has a fantastic physique, but also he has a good mindset for the business, and I think it's somebody to take into consideration, Victor Longman. And the other one, well, I can only talk about people I work with, but although he's a heel, we are having some kind of trouble and problems right now in our storylines. There's a young guy who is just 19 years old, Sirius Djedic, and I know it's hard to pronounce, believe me.
Yeah.
But he's a prospect. He also has it all, has the physique, the appearance, the look, the mindset, the gimmick, the everything. He breathes and eats and sleeps wrestling. So the sky's the limit. He's just 19 years old. I wish I was 19 as well.
Yeah, that's a little bit a long time ago, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not to offend you in any way, but sorry.
I know.
Sorry for that in advance.
It's okay.
but you were talking a little bit about a storyline with him. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that's quite interesting.
So currently I'm in a program in which as one of the top baby faces of the company, I was the last year in a long time feud with Sinister, who is like the mindset behind all this stable, in which Sirius Yates is one of his minions. The other one is Krampus, a big monster from Austria. But we are having some kind of unfinished issues and unfinished businesses that hopefully will be finished more sooner than later. So yeah.
That's always like that. There's always someone there. But
yeah,
if you could talk about the most important, most fantastic moment of your career until now, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got. I mean, probably there are a few, but the one that comes to my mind, and it speaks against me because I was actually chokeslammed through a table, but it was one of the best moments of my career so far. So we were co-main evating one of the shows, our Primetime Wrestling, just right before Kalisto versus Seidel. So you can imagine, we were just co-main evating. It was the end of a 6, 7, 8 month storyline. So it was the end. It was a last man standing match. So winner takes all. And when I was about to get the victory and I was standing up and my opponent was down after my finisher, the lights turned off. And when they turned on again, Krampus was behind me. He hit me with his finish. And then he chokeslammed me through the announce table in front of 1,000 people and in front of a lot of thousands of people watching at home, through the broadcasting, Fight TV and other platforms. So although I was really scared before taking this move and although that, I think it was one of the pinnacle of my career because, and again, I'm being chokeslammed through a table. So it's not that I'm on the top with the belt. It's just me. Yeah,
but not just any table, the announce table, like you watch on TV. That's the best table that you could ever get chokeslammed through. So.
Yeah, probably. And I mean, like, it's one of the moments that are stuck there in my mind because it was when I go through the table and I hear the reaction of the crowd and the reaction of the commentators. Santino Marella is just next to me, one of the commentators, just saying, somebody called doctors out here. We need a doctor. And, like the referee counting out to 10 and me losing the match that I had so close to win. And, the reaction of the crowd, the messages I got after that from the fans and from everyone, that was fantastic. It was one of the, if not one of the very best moments I had in my career.
But let's talk about another moment, and if you have more than one. So let's hear another one as well.
So probably when I won the first ever Battle Royal in the first ever Primetime Wrestling show, there were a lot of wrestlers. We were like 11 or 12 wrestlers in the ring. And the winner takes a chance to wrestle at the main event in the next show. So, and that was my first show in front of 1,000 people, as I told you. That was the one, it's a Battle Royal. And to be the last one and to take the victory, the first ever in Polish, my first ever victory at all in wrestling, and in front of the Polish crowd, it was super memorable. So yeah, that's probably another moment, if not the
Okay.
another one for sure.
Yeah, but it's always nice to talk about the good moments of
Mm-hmm.
one's career. But and no, it could be a little bit hard, but the most challenging, the most worst moment of your wrestling career, could
Well,
you tell us a
definitely,
little?
most of my moments are good, to be honest. But there was a bad one when I fractured my shoulder, which was in September this year. I just broke my shoulder, and I never had any injury or major injury. I was always ready and able to perform. But when I had this injury, like the whole world collapsed because I'm not willing to train. I'm not willing to rest. I mean, I can't wrestle. I can't train. It hurts. I can't sleep good. And it all happened inside the ring, in a training, just an accident. Like, things happen when you don't expect them to happen. So to be put on the sideline for a while and to have to watch every show from the backstage and not be able to go out there and do what you love, and also to disappoint the fans because they cannot see you live, or they are expecting you and you are not coming back, and the next week there is another show and you are not coming back. And I was out for almost a couple of months, so it was like I never been out that long. So yeah, it was something really unpleasant. The shoulder still hurts me. And actually, one of the things why I also keep the match with Carlos so special to me, it was the first match I had, the real match I had after the injury. So I also was a bit, like, I'm not sure how it's going to be because I don't know if it will hurt me. But then, it all turned out good. So yeah.
So how did you work with your mindset? Because it could sometimes, when you had an injury and coming back, it could limit you in some ways, maybe holding a little bit
It's all
back.
about, it's more about a mental thing, because the body starts to feel good and you can see that the range of movement is better. The pain is not that deep, but it's on your head. Like, what if I fall down again bad? What if it hurts me during the match? What if I can't continue? So, that was really challenging. But it's all in the head. It's all in the mind. And if you are smart enough, you can also work around an injury and, try to prevent some things or try to change some things to not damage more what is already damaged. But yeah, it's all in the mind, definitely.
Don't you always have a little bit of injury when you're a wrestler?
Yeah,
Always a
exactly.
little.
There is always something. I mean, from the moment you start to train and to wrestle, something is gonna hurt always. With a lot of pain or with minimum pain, but there you will always feel some discomfort here and there. That's normal. That's part of the game. But when you have an injury that doesn't allow you to even sleep, well, then it's something more serious.
Yeah, a little bit, one could say.
Absolutely.
But we're talking a little bit about the good things, the worst things about wrestling. Now I would like to talk a little bit about character development and how you develop the character. The
Yeah.
face, let's talk about the face character.
Yeah. So one of the most important things, and here the credit goes to one of my trainers, Sid Scala, who I also say hi from here. He was the one who really helped me when it comes to character development, because right now one of the biggest mistakes, in my opinion, that the wrestling world have is that a lot of wrestlers are just wrestlers, like random wrestlers, that they are not having anything in particular, or they don't inspire anyone. They are just wrestlers with shorts and boots. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that I'm recognizable. I have a recognizable character, for good or for bad, but that I'm recognizable and that people remember me, that people or that that I'm different than others. So for me, character development is one of the most important things when you are a wrestler. It might be as important as what you do inside the ring, from an athletic point of view, of course. You can be a very athletic person and do every move in the world, but if you don't have a gimmick or a character or something that makes somebody pay money or pay a ticket to see you, well, then you are just doing uh, acrobatics. So I take inspiration from a lot of wrestlers. Of course, The Rock probably is one of the ones that inspired me the most because he's my favorite wrestler when I was a kid. But there are a lot of wrestlers that I take inspiration from, like Chris Jericho, or like I have a jacket with lights. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
that was not my invention. That somebody already did that before. But or I have glasses, that big neon glasses. Well, of course, Macho Man had such glasses, stuff like that. Almost everything is invented, and it's very hard to come up with something new that has not been done before. But that being said, there are a lot of things that you can tweak, or you can make unique, or you can make yours, and make them recognizable. So that's what I do, with my gear, with my the way I enter the ring, the moves I do, the music I choose, all of that, I just try to make it that is memorable for the people and they remember it and they want to see it in the future, to cheer or boo me, but but for some reason.
Yeah, the most important thing for a wrestler is to get a reaction,
Absolutely.
positive or negative. So how did you, now you have developed the character development, choosing a finisher, I think is just as important to get the type of a whole wrestler.
Right. So, well, I mean, obviously the finisher, it was inspired by my favorite wrestler. I just tried to do it a little bit different, just open my hands a little bit more and make it look like a plane. So the first time I did it like that. And then someone, I don't remember who now, but someone said, "Oh my God, when you did it, it looks like you are flying, or like this is a plane." It's like, okay, playing, Spain, lights plane to Spain. That sounds,
Yeah.
it has rhythm, and it makes sense. I put you on the last plane to Spain, so let's fly. So that's how you put the pieces together and you come up with that, and it works, and people like it. So it's something like it. Just don't change it.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
I came up with it.
Yeah, you should never change something that really works. And
I
I
think so
like
as well.
the play with words, so it sits good on the tongue, I think. So
Yeah, people like it. So, like you said, if something works, you don't need to
yeah,
touch it much.
no. So now we have talked a little bit about the past and the present. I
Yeah,
would like to dig a little bit into about the future of Starboy Nano Lopez in the
right.
wrestling world.
So, Starboy Nano Lopez in the wrestling world for the future still holds a couple of matches or storylines or things that he would like to do, and maybe pursuing some championship belt in the near future in some company. I don't know which one yet, but maybe he knows. uh, and but in the near future, I would say in a couple of years or in 3 years from now, I think Starboy will be more dedicated to help others, the young talent and the people around him to achieve their dreams of becoming a wrestler, or to help them in their journey of being a wrestler as much as he can. So that's within the 3-4 years. But before that, I think Starboy he still has a couple of bullets to shoot at people, so at other wrestlers. So
Yeah,
yeah,
of putting
travel,
them on a
probably
plane to Spain.
on a plane to Spain, exactly. Hopefully, going to another countries and see how the wrestling is in other countries, and see and bring something to the table in those countries, meet some people, and meet some old friends as well. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's more focused about helping others already, and pass the torch to the new generations.
So if you could choose to go anywhere in the world and wrestle anybody, pick one and why.
Right now, it's hard actually, but I would definitely like to wrestle Brian Danielson. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. He was when he was in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was the promotion I was watching the most when I was a teenager. So yeah, he's in AEW now, so probably in the US. But the US sounds good, right? So probably the US with Brian Danielson, that would be a dream match, like the top of the top for me.
Main eventing the next pay-per-view on AEW.
For example,
Yeah,
that would sound really good. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But dreams can come true in the wrestling world. I
absolutely.
think actually the wrestling world is developing, and they are looking for more and more new talent and someone who can bring something new to the table.
And more every time you can see that dreams come true, because all my dreams in wrestling so far came true.
Yeah. So if you could look a little bit about the wrestling world as a whole, what is the biggest challenge for wrestling going forward?
I think the biggest challenge right now is that everybody knows that it's scripted. That is, the kayfabe is dead. So some people try to keep it alive. Hold on a second. I just needed to move for a moment. So
Oh, okay.
I think one of the biggest problems here is that the kayfabe is dead, and with kayfabe being dead, the amount of people who are the fans or the people who are trying to get behind the curtain and being in the backstage is bigger and bigger, and with that we lose the magic. So I think this is one of the challenges that the wrestling has right now. That a lot of people are trying to get inside the business.
Yeah, I think you're so actually absolutely right, because the magic behind kayfabe is more or less gone. But I think wrestling now is trying to create a new kind of magic, being either focus on great storylines or just a great match where you tell a story just inside the match as well.
For me, I think that seeing a lot of big moves, it's a cheap pop in a short way, in the short period for a short period of time. What keep people engaged and be are the storylines. This is what people are really in. That's why you are into wrestling. It's like we're watching a series. What's gonna happen in the next chapter? So yeah, I think
You
that's the
want a,
biggest thing. Yeah.
you want a fairy tale, not always with a good ending, but I think it's hopefully there will be more and more focus on that. So
I mean,
um,
that's one of the things that we do in Poland, and that I'm
yeah,
actually really proud of, is that we try to actually have very deep and very, interesting storylines. A lot of them that can actually encompass basically any person in the world, regardless of what is your taste. There is something for you. If you like comedy, there is some storyline about comedy. But if you like
well, it looks like the star is freezing, so hopefully he will get back
sorry,
soon.
yes, we're here. I'm here. I don't know, just
Okay,
disconnected and I
perfect.
was talking.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I think that if you like comedy, there is something for you. If you like hardcore matches, there might be something for you. And if you like, I don't know, romance, there might be something for you. There is something for anyone, uh, and that's really important. That everyone in the crowd have something that they can enjoy.
well, it sounds like that I have to come to Poland, maybe in
Absolutely,
the
you should
next
come to.
year. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm trying to be a little bit about a wrestling traveler, because I only have two spots for next year. I'm going to Mania, to Philly. Tickets
Oh,
booked. Yeah, tickets booked,
I'm
and
going as
Airbnb.
well.
Ah, you are.
I was
Oh,
last year
perfect.
already.
I was also this year as well. Yeah.
I mean, this year you were in
Yeah.
Los Angeles in the SoFi
Yes.
Stadium, so I
Yeah.
was.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. We have to connect before that, because
Absolutely.
I have a lot of also guys that I'm going to meet up with from the podcast
Okay.
world, and they have connections to the US. So
Nice.
we could talk when we get a little bit closer. Maybe I could help you get a
Yeah.
booking or something
I
like
can't
that.
wait actually to go there. They say that maybe The Rock is gonna come back
Yeah,
finally, because the last year, I mean this year, the last WrestleMania I went there because of that, and then
exactly.
he finally did show up. So it was a bit of a bummer, but with fingers crossed this year.
Yeah, he will this year because we're both going, and we know
Exactly,
this now.
he has
So
to.
yeah, I think, or we will come after him. So Dwayne the Rock Johnson, watch out if you're not at
Yes, please.
WrestleMania 40.
There you go.
Uh, and then probably I'm going to All In. I was there this year as well. I'm taking my two kids there,
Okay.
so I'm trying to manipulate them
I
into it.
think that the good
But
thing of Denmark and also of Poland is that geographically speaking, we are close to a lot of different countries. So we have a lot of places that we can probably easily go to see wrestling from different companies and different countries. If you live, uh, for example, in Portugal, well, you are really far away from the rest of the European scene, right? Or in Spain even. We are there down in the south. It's a bit probably harder. But if you are in Denmark or in Poland, we are in the middle, so everywhere is the same distance, more or less.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but it's such a pleasure, because I really think, in my opinion, and I don't know about you, but the wrestling scene is flourishing at the moment.
Oh yeah, I think so as well. I think it has never been that many, companies and promotions and wrestlers and also people, interested about wrestling. So in Europe. So I think that, I think it has never been better, to be honest.
There's a lot of passion for wrestling. I think we're moving a little bit into a new golden era of wrestling.
It might be, and the fact that a lot of celebrities, very well-known celebrities, are also, getting involved into wrestling, with Bad Bunny and Logan Paul and this and that. It also, helps tremendously, because it's bringing a lot of new people who didn't have an idea of what wrestling is to a new world of what, love of first sight, as you said at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is actually. So, do you have any last words for our viewers before cutting this interview off?
Well, I guess that most of the viewers or listeners that are actually tuning in and being here are probably wrestling fans. I mean, if they are not, that would be weird. But if they are, that might be. But for the wrestling fans, like I am a wrestler, but I'm also a fan, really, and I will always be a fan. I was a fan, I am, and I will be. And I think there is no more beautiful thing in the world than to go into a wrestling show with your friends or with your family and just enjoy for 2 hours, of a live audience show. So if you have a chance, in TV it looks great, the video games are awesome, but if you have a chance, go to a live show, and that will give you a totally different perspective of what is this crazy world. And other than that, thank you everyone, who is supporting me or who is, rooting for me. I really appreciate that, and they know who they are. And like you said, the wrestlers job is to make a reaction, any reaction, positive or negative. So thank you all who boo me, who cheer for me, but thank you for the reactions.
But do you have any last words, like go and watch this show in Poland or in Spain, and or
I
a
would
shout
say,
out to anybody?
if you can, go and watch the last New Elite wrestling main event between Carlos and I. It is a main event for the title, and it was the first match after a long time injury that I had. So it has a very special place in my heart. And I think Nordic Elite Wrestling is going to be one of the big companies that we will be talking about in the future, because the potential they have is tremendous. And of course, other than that, go and watch Primetime Wrestling in Poland, my home promotion. We have a lot of free shows in YouTube. And if you have Fight TV, you can have all the shows that we had so far. But also there are a lot of material in YouTube that you can watch for free. The production is astonishing, and we have a lot of international wrestlers as well as great Polish talent. So go there and watch it, and I'm sure that if you haven't watched it, you will love it.
Thank you so much, Starboy Nano Lopez, for your time. It was a big pleasure for me talking and interviewing you and getting a little bit of...
Thank you for having me. Apologize for some last minute technical issues that I had on my side, but hopefully it's all good. And muchas gracias. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. And one last thing we always say before we close the interview: remember to watch wrestling live.
Exactly.